Okay, everyone. Good morning. Yom Yerushalayim Samach. Thank you, everyone who arranged this. I know a lot goes in even to a small thing like this, so everyone, thank you. Today is Yom Yerushalayim, as everyone knows, and I just wanted to learn a little bit together inside from these different sources. It's also Erev Shavuos, so we'll have a Rus connection, obviously. And we're going to see a little bit from Rav Kook, Rabbi Nachman, the Ramchal, classical Chazal, and I'm just really excited to be here. Here in Ramat Beit Shemesh, we made Aliyah around 2 years ago, and it's such a unique experience being here. It's awesome, you know. And here in Ramat Beit Shemesh, it's a self-selecting group of Olim that everyone has come from wherever they come from, and it's really amazing. It's the best of the best, you know. It's the best people. It's the best of Am Yisrael that come here, choosing to live here, choosing to set up their lives here, raise their family. So it's really a privilege to be here. So let's go back over here. It's not numbered. You know, sometimes it comes unnumbered. I don't know. Sometimes yes, sometimes no. Hopefully, and then everything will come together. Let's go back to the beginning. Let's go back to Yerushalayim, to the beginning. Hops on the scene, and the first source over here, Bereshis. Everyone knows this pasuk, an inspiring pasuk. It's the pasuk that Am Yisrael is still living today. The conversation between Abraham and Hashem and Abraham, Vayomer Hashem el Avram, Lech lecha ma'artzecha m'uladticha, m'beis avicha el eretz asher arecha. Go from your house, from the place you were born, your father's house, and go to the land that I will show you. Be'eretz asher arecha, the land that I will show you. We all know the Rashi over here. Rashi says, why didn't he show him this? Go, where am I going? You know, you pack your kids up in a car. Say, okay, we're going on a trip. Where? You know, and I'll tell my kids, I don't know. So for me, they're already used to that already. So they start rolling their eyes. They're like, you know. But over here, he packs up. He starts going to the land that I will show you. He doesn't know the exact place. And that's usually how we learn this pasuk. But the Ramban on this pasuk says, Eretz Asher Arecha, in the next source, just skipping to the bottom, Kisham ha'aretz asher yurenu be'emes. In that place, Hashem speaking and saying, the place where you could see me. Be'eretz asher areka, not in the place that I will show you, but in the place that you will see me there. Be'ereka, I will make myself shown to you. Here in Eretz Yisrael, specifically in Yerushalayim, it's Yom Yerushalayim, but really everywhere in Eretz Yisrael, it's the place where Hashem reveals himself to us. As we all know, there's a certain hashkacha, there's a certain emunah, there's a certain Torah being in the bones of Am Yisrael. Here in Eretz Yisrael, Be'eretz Asher Reka, in the place where Hashem is Megala himself, reveals himself to Am Yisrael in this place, in a place that no one's, a place like no other. There's this famous story I saw brought in the name of Rav Kook, and I've heard in the name of Rav Shlomo Carlebach. It could be he used to say it in the name of Rav Kook, but there's a famous story that they used to ask. Rav Kook said, what's the difference between the mountains of Switzerland and the mountains of Eretz Yisrael? So he said, in the mountains of Switzerland, you call out to them, but the mountains in Eretz Yisrael, they call back to you. Be'eretz asher areka, in the land where I will make myself shown to you, in the land where there's a Giloy HaKadosh Baruch Hu, there's a relation of Hashem, a Giloy of Hashem's light and emunah in this world. Next, we have this famous piece over here, another well-known piece in Orot from Rav Kook, Orot to Eretz Yisrael. I remember the first time I learned this piece over here. It's the first piece in Orot. We're going to see it inside in a moment. And it was just like knocked me off my socks, you know? I just felt his words going straight into my heart. And it was just such an amazing thing. And it's incredible, you know? Eretz Yisrael einenu davar chitzoni. Eretz Yisrael, it's not just an external place. It's not just a superficial davar chitzon. Kinyan chitzoni le'uman. A place where a nation could just acquire. Rak b'torim tzari l'matara shel hidgadus haklali v'chazkas kiyuma hachamri or afilu ruchni. It's not a means to an end. It's not, okay, we have a land, so now we could be a nation, we have a land, that's something, that's a big thing. It's not just a place where here in Eretz Yisrael, I could use it as a means to an end where I could be more spiritual. I could use it, right, it's not just something that I can become more holy, I become more spiritual, I become more connected in Eretz Yisrael. It's not just that. Eretz Yisrael hi chativa atzmutit. Kishura bekesher achaim im ha'uma. Eretz Yisrael is bound up in the life of our nation. Chavuka beskulat pnimit imitziusa. Eretz Yisrael is an inherent part of our existence. It's connected with all our souls. When a person comes back to Eretz Yisrael, when a person lives in Eretz Yisrael, they're reclaiming a part of themselves that was lost, that they weren't able to reclaim in Chutz La'aretz. The entire land itself is essentially bound up in our souls. We are one with the land, and the land is one with us. It's like Rabbi Nachman explains, a famous thing. Rabbi Nachman says that the spies, they said, it's a eretz ocheles es yoshveh, it's a land that eats its inhabitants. It doesn't mean here that the people are worn out. That's one way to learn it. But Rabbi Nachman says that just like when a person eats food, that food gets absorbed into their bloodstream, and it becomes a part of you, right? As they say, you are what you eat. So too, a person who lives in Eretz Yisrael, they're able to become one with the land. The land absorbs them, breaks them down until you become one with the land. That Eretz Yisrael is an essential part of every single one of us and who we are, and our life force, our souls are bound up and can be one with the land. It's amazing, right? Because you usually think of Eretz Yisrael like, okay, so our nation could come here, or I could be more spiritual here. But you don't think of Eretz Yisrael as reclaiming a part of yourself that you didn't have access to beforehand. And when we say Eretz Yisrael, what do we mean? What do we mean by Eretz Yisrael? We're just talking about it's not just the spiritual aspects. It's not just a place for us to be more spiritual. So what do we mean? Rabbi Nachman says over here in Chaim Aran, he says, it's Rav Nosson speaking. It's a conversation that Rav Nosson had with Rabbi Nachman. For the years who don't know, Rav Nosson was Rabbi Nachman's main student, and he was a scribe, essentially. He wrote everything down. And Mar Bezu Alashon, Rabbi Nachman said this, Misha Rotze Lios Yehudi, a person who wants to be a Jew. Who doesn't want to be a Jew? Who doesn't want to be? Everyone wants to be a Jew. Mi Shehu Rotze Liot Yehudi, Dahainu Leilech Medarga Ledarga, to go from level to level. I Efshar Ki'im Al Yidei Eretz Yisrael. You could only do that through Eretz Yisrael. You could only go from level to level to be a true Jew in Eretz Yisrael. Ukeshemenatzchen hamelchama, azay nikrin ish melchama. And when you win the war to get here, then you're called a man of war. Ki kodem shemenatzchen hamelchama, az al yishalu choger kimafteach. Rak shemenatzchen hamelchama, azayu ush melchama. That everyone here knows the difficulties and the challenges they came to uproot their family, to come here, the sacrifices it takes to live here. And like I said to my wife when we moved here, I'm like, we won the war. We're Ish Muhammad's. We won the war. As Rabbi Nachman says, you have to gird yourself with weapons of war. And a person who comes to Eretz Yisrael, we won. You won the lottery, everyone. We won. We won the war. We won the battle. The main thing is to be here and reclaim our souls. The piece continues. The Achar, Shegamar HaTorah, Achar Kach, Be'ez HaSicha. And then afterwards, when Rabbi Nachman said this, Rav Nosson said, he asked Rabbi Nachman, Sha'alti Yoso, Ma kavanaschem b'ma she'amartem she'eretz Yisrael hi gedola, kolkach. What are you talking about? What was your intent when you say that Eretz Yisrael is so big? That's the main battle a person could wage, is the battle to get to Eretz Yisrael. What were you referring to? Like, what spiritual grandiosity thing were you referring to? V'garbi v'ana, and he screamed, he shouted at me, and he answered, V'amar, kavanasi Eretz Yisrael hazos b'pshitus. My intent when I speak about Eretz Yisrael is the simplicity. Im elu habatim ve'diros. I'm talking about the rocks. I'm talking about the stones. I'm talking about the houses. I'm talking about the tile. I'm talking about the floor. I'm talking about the buildings, the constructions. When people think of Eretz Yisrael, the spiritual heights, it's even the physicality in Eretz Yisrael is infused with Kedusha. So much so when Rav Nosson asked Rav Nachman, he says, when you're talking about Eretz Yisrael, what are you talking about? He goes, I mean the rocks. I mean the houses. It's like last year with Shemitah, it's like, such a funny thing. Like, you have a cucumber that grows right here and now has Kedusha to it. There's a Kedusha Shashvis, there's a Kedusha Sa'aretz, that even the physical ground, something grow anywhere in Eretz Yisrael, something just, sprouts up, little cucumber, it has Kedusha. It's amazing. It's like when we lived in the States, in the 5 towns, so like my kids were eating peppers on the steps, like on the stoop of the house, And one day, it was like a spring day, it was in the summer, peppers started sprouting up from the ground, because they were chucking all the garbage on the floor and the seeds this way and that way. And peppers started to grow in the ground. So that's an amazing thing, right? But a pepper grows here. It has Kedusha. Same dirt. dirt in the 5 towns, dirt here. One Kaddish, one not. So it's an amazing thing. Rabbi Nachman said, I'm talking about the houses. I'm talking about the Kedusha. That even the Gashmias is filled with Ruchnias over here. And I wanted to, over here, we're going to learn a little bit. It's a little bit more technical of a piece, but I wanted to share with everyone about the Makor of Kedusha, the source of Kedusha. That this is from a sefer called Mishkanei Elyon from the Ramchal. It's an awesome sefer. It's his Kabbalistic description on the third Beis Hamikdash, based in the Psukim of Yechezkel, where at the end of Yechezkel he goes into all the third Beis Hamikdash, whatever it is. So Ramchal wrote an amazing sefer. It's very heavy on the math, but there are some parts that are not mathematic for those who are not good with math, like myself. He writes over here. He's talking about the actual creation of the world. When the Matzil, when Hashem Yisbarach wanted to create this world, he created these Eser lights known as the Eser Spheros, the 10 Spheros. And from these Spheros come out like branches of a tree. The whole world is rooted in these Eser Spheros. Until, because it's rooted, it's like the Chedush Arim said, this world's like an upside down tree, that the roots are there and everything comes out down below, right? So everything can become a Merkava Kedusha, and this is going to become clear as we learn. And the last light that Hashem created was the one where He revealed Himself in the world. He went through all the alamos, Atziyah, Bria, Yisir, and Asiyah, the 4 worlds, and the last one was called the Shechina, that everything's rooted in. Ki milvad hashorish asher lahem b'shar ma'oros yesh lahem shor zeh b'shchina lios nikr b'mashal eim habanim. Because this shorish, this root of the Shechina, it's like the eim habanim, because just like a mother watches over her children, so too the Shechina watches and protects Klal Yisrael. Eim habanim v'akol yotze mitachas yado l'chein ba ner shel kulam. V'tzarech sheteda, and you should know, ki yesh makom echad miyuchad v'nodalo. There's one singular place that is known, that all the spiritual neural synapses that were happening in the upper worlds when Hashem was creating the world, there's one place where all these places come together. The Sham Yesh Hashor Kol Advarim, and that spot is the porthole. It is the place of entrance where everything in the world is entrenched and rooted in. That all these lights, these Eser Spheros, these spiritual lights, they come down and get rooted in one place. And every single thing on earth is rooted and entrenched from all the heavens down to this place. When all these roots gather to one place, they come to this place and they come like a rock. And this rock is so precious, is so valuable. It's filled with delight and splendor and desire. V'hi hanikras Evan Shasiya. And this is the Evan Shasiya, the foundation stone, right now in Al-Aqsa Mosque, on Har HaBayis, the Makom of the Kodesh Kodashim. V'chein haisa Evan hazos ba'olam hazeh. And this rock is in this world. Limata b'makom Kodesh Kodashim. It's in the place of the Kodesh Kodashim kasher va'od, like I'm going to explain. So you see, all the spiritual lights from all the worlds, I kind of think of it like you're running internet cables, and you have all these internet cables in the business and in the building, and they're going, and they're all coming in, but they all have to go through the router. All those cables run through the router. And Evan Shasiya is the router of Kedusha for the entire world. The Evan Shasiya, all Kedusha comes from Har HaBayis. All Kedusha comes through the rock of Evan Shasiya out to Yerushalayim, and from Yerushalayim to the rest of the world. If a Jew could come close to Hashem in Hawaii, Shem Havaya, so in the farthest place, I think it's the polar opposite of Eretz Yisrael on the map. It is, right? So if a Jew could come close there in the most far out places in the world, it's only because it's rooted in Yerushalayim, it's rooted in the Evan Shasiya, where all the spiritual supernal lights come. Thank you, Sammy. We'll just read a little bit further. Umimena nispashu saviv mesilus v'shvim l'kol advarim. And from that, lines go out to the whole world. Ubetchila nasu mesilus gedolas vivos hemadrachim l'chol nivram l'neim. And it goes out like these invisible roads. It's like this Wi-Fi network that kind of, you get Wi-Fi here, you get Wi-Fi there. This invisible network of spiritual lights comes out through the Evan Shasiya. Kikula mevinim es darchum umisham yikhu chelkam orchas tamid and esinu lehem meis hamelech. Va'achar eil mesilas nimtzo od shvilim rabim ketanim mehem. And he explains the neurosynapses. There's one road that leads to another road, that leads to another road, that leads to a side road, that leads to that. And all that gets rooted from the Evan Shasiya. All that gets rooted from the Makor of Kedusha itself. And now we come back to Avram's story. Be'eretz asher reka. Go? Where? Avram's entire life, he was searching for the umbilical cord of creation. He was searching for the place where the divine ideal enters this world. And that's Vayara es hamakom. When he's bringing Yitzchak in order Hashem, he sees the place. The place. What's the place? It's the place where the divine ideal enters into this world. It's the place of Harabayas. It's the place of the Evan Shasiya. It's the place where all Kedusha is rooted in for the entire world. It's amazing. It's amazing. The Ramchal is amazing. And I like this, just switch gears a little bit, because we are talking about Yerushalayim, and it is Erev Shavuos. It's only appropriate to share a little bit about Rus. And it's only appropriate a little bit to talk about Rus. And we know the underlining theme of Rus is what? It's Geula, right? It's Eretz Yisrael. It starts, V'hi b'mei shofet shvatim v'yirah ba'aretz v'yelech ish mi beis lechem Yehuda l'gor b'stei Moab hu v'ishto shnei banav. Right? And it was the days of the shofet, the shvatim, right, where they judge their leaders. A little bit similar to nowadays. I always think that, parenthetic, like Sefer Shoftim is like one of the most relevant nowadays, because it's like all these micro scuffles. Like there's no like real leader. What?
I was thinking more for
okay, yeah, there's no Melech, and there's, there's micro scuffles between us, and we don't fully have the land. We do have the land. There's all these little things happening, right? Okay, it's another topic, but it was the day when they judged their leaders. Right? Rashi brings over there. Why does it say V'yelech Ish? It doesn't say his name. We know who the man was. We know he was Asher Godo Haya Parnas Hador. He was a very wealthy individual. V'yetze me'eretz Yisrael l'chutz la'aretz mipnei tzar zayin. He left Eretz Yisrael. And because of that, in the Megillah already, and it says when he left, he lost his fortune, he lost his kids. He went to live in Moab for some odd reason, And of all the places, you got to go to Moab, But it's all explained, because I'll explain really what was going on behind the scenes there. It was uprooting. He knew that Mashiach would come from Moab and David HaMelech, and he went there specifically to bring the Geula because it was during a hard time. But either way, it says, Vayelech Ish. He left Eretz Yisrael, and through the story of the Megillah, we see Naomi's shame and embarrassment that she has to face in order to return back to Eretz Yisrael, and all the calamity that happened to them. It says in the Pasuk, we continue, just in the same Pasuk, right? Vayelech ish mi beis lechem. I didn't print it over here, but I just wrote it in the notes. The Ramad Wali brings, why is it called Beis Lechem? Bethlehem, Beis Lechem, the house of bread. Because Beis Lechem, in Eretz Yisrael, it's the Makor of Kedusha, right? All Kedusha is the house of sustenance, the house of bread. That bread and Parnasa all comes, Yerushalayim, comes Beis Lechem, comes from Eretz Yisrael, just like we saw in the Ramchal, the Ramad Wali, parenthetically, who writes this thing on Beis Lechem. He was one of the, as Yudi knows, Yudi was at the Kaver. I have the hope one day to be Zocha to go, right? And he was a Talmud of the Ramchal, the Ramad Wali. So Al Derech, his Rebbe, he writes that all the Kedusha goes out through the neurosynapses. That's why it's called Beis Lechem. I wanted to share a little bit more. It says just a little bit of the story outside. I know everyone's, why, bad joke. You know why we read Rus on Shavuos? To connect us to our roots. I know, it's terrible. It's really, really bad. Okay, in the story, it's really bad. I know, it's terrible. In the story, at the end of Rus, and as the story is winding down, so what goes on over there, right? Rus, she sees that Naomi tells her daughter-in-law that, there's a guy named Boaz, Bo-Oz, and him is everything. We know what a great tzaddik he was. Right, and there's a guy Boaz, and he could be your Goel, and if he takes you in, he explains the whole thing. If he takes you in, go down to his field and go see what's going on there, and maybe he'll be your true redeemer. Maybe he'll be your true Goel. Just going to read stick him inside over here for a second. So this conversation, as I was mentioning before, this conversation, the whole Rus is really about Geula. The whole Rus is about the seeds of Mashiach, right? And it's brought Naomi is right. Different people take on different metaphors, and sometimes different people take on the same metaphor. Like it's brought Naomi is Ne'ima, that's Klal Yisrael, that their mitzvahs are Ne'ima. Their mitzvahs are beautiful, right? Then there's Boaz, is Bo-Oz, sometimes it represents Hashem Boaz, sometimes Rus represents Klal Yisrael, it depends, different parts of the story, different conversations happening. But in the third parak, it says like this. So Rus goes down to meet Boaz. Rus goes down to meet Boaz, and she wants to be redeemed. She wants a husband. Va'ata ki amnan gimel perik gimel pasuk yebez. Va'ata ki amnan kim goel enochi v'gam yesh goel karov mimeni. So Boaz says back, I could be your goel, I could be your redeemer, but there's another redeemer that's closer. Lini halayla, sleep the night. Vayaba boker imi galecho tov, right? Stay the night until the morning, until the boker. And imi galecha tov. If this is a play on words over here, because right, if you get redeemed, then good, right? But we know Rashi says tov. I think his name was Solomon, maybe, I don't know, whatever it is. Tov was really the guy who didn't want a redeemer. So that was actually his name. His name was Tov. So Imi Galecha Tov. If Tov, this man, individual's name named Tov, then Yigal, then you'll be redeemed. Ve'im lo yichbatz ligalech, and if he doesn't want to redeem you, Ga'altich anochi chai Hashem shichvi ad boker. Then I'll take it upon myself. I want you to stay here to the night. So we're going to see the Rav in Bar Tanura. He gives amazing parish on Rus. It's awesome. Like the guys usually think of the Rav as like the parish on Mishnayos. That's what he was known for. But like it was Gevalt Makubal. He brought out all sorts of sodas. It's amazing. So his parish on the Megillah is all filled with gems. So just going to read inside over here. So the Rav explains that this is really a conversation about the final Geula. This is a conversation about the final redemption. Just inside, right? Now you should know I could redeem you. But you should know there's another redeemer. This is a conversation that Hashem has with Am Yisrael. You should know I could take you out. Hashem says I could take you out. I could bring you out of Golus. But you don't want me to take you out. There's a geula that's close. There's a geula that's close, right? We know Chazal say if Klal Yisrael does tshuva, then Hashem takes everyone out. At the end, Hashem says, I'm going to take you out anyways. You should know I'm going to take you out. But there's another redeemer. There is a redeemer that is a little bit closer, and that's if you all do tshuva, right? Lini alayla, stay the night, meaning to say it's supposed to be the night of Gulla. Stay until the boker of Geula, right? And the boker is kind of what we're in now. We're in the boker of Geula now. Stay the night, and if not, Boaz says, I'll take you out anyways. Don't worry. There's going to be the dawn of redemption. And we'll just read this inside because the words are just so amazing. Amar Kadosh Baruch Hu, Di'i ani goel, ki alai hamalacha ligmor, v'gola shias b'ni. Hashem says, if I'm going to take you out, I'm going to take everyone out. I'm going to start the job. I'm going to finish the job. But the geula that I'm going to bring, that's going to take some time. Not so fast, right? We're over 2,000 years later since this story happened. It's not going to be so fast, right? Because when I take you out, Hashem says, right? Hashem is encouched as Boaz, right? Kishani goel, right? Vaya im Yisrael you Rishayim, right? That's even if Yisrael they're Rishayim, I'm going to take you out. V'lo yahem bahem schus legoel, right? Eseh leman shemi. I'm going to take out even if Klal Yisrael's Rishayim, even if they're doing the worst of Eiros, even if they're doing all the things that they wouldn't do. That's the geula that I'm going to bring. I'm going to do it for my namesake. Aval yesh geula acheres krova megula sheli. Right, but you should know there's another geula that's even closer. Shehu she'eseh b'chus Yisrael im yishuv b'tshuva. That's if everyone does tshuva, then I'll take you out. She'oso geula efshar tiyeh b'chol yom k'mo shenemar b'yol kol tishma. That type of geula could happen on any day, any given Sunday, as they say that the Jews do tshuva. right? Let's keep 2 Shabbosim, the Indian of Tshuva, right? If you do Tshuva, then I'll take you out. L'chein lini halayla, therefore stay the night. Rotzalomer, shavat ha-begolos kumo sha'ata yoshev. Right now, you're sitting in Gullus the way you're supposed to be. Vaya boker, but it's going to be morning. Vaya l'cho geula sheteitze me-geula shehi layla. And there's going to be the boker of geula, there's going to be the dawn of redemption that's going to take you out of this long layla. Lini halayla, this long layla that we're all still in. I would add to say, it's been a long night, It's been a long night. And here we are in Eretz Yisrael. Here we are being Mekayim, the Divrei of Nevi'im, the beginning of the Divrei of Nevi'im. In so many ways, right? The Navi Yeshaya says one day there's going to be streams in the desert, Just go out, irrigation, streams, plumbing. It's like amazing, There's going to be women and children playing in the street, right? They're going to build Eretz Yisrael up with nicer stones, right? And this is the Geula of Hashem Yisbarach. This is the Geula of Rus. This is the Geula of, right? Im Yigalenu Tov. If Tov will do it, that'll be fine. Everyone do tshuva, But you should know, if not everyone does tshuva, I'm coming for you anyways. You don't have to worry, right? This was the hope of Avraham Avinu. This was the hope of Lech Lecha Ma'artzecha. I want to see the divine ideal manifest in this world. I have this hope, this yearning, this longing to come close to God. The Eretz Yisrael is not just a place, a gathering place. It's not just a place we could come together as a nation. It's not just a place for us to become more holy or more spiritual. It's that we're able to find ourselves through the land, find ourselves through the Kedusha that's manifest through the Evan Shasiyah, right? It's like... parenthetically, I once saw, brought down the Chassam Sofer. He says that there's an Inyan to be niskariv to Kedusha, like the closer you get to Kedusha, physically, like that's good, So here we are in Eretz Yisrael. It's an amazing thing, and that just provide us with so much nachama, so much hope, so much happiness, so much simcha to realize what we're doing here, with all the difficulties and all the nonsense that happens, It's amazing anyways, though, It's like we have to open up our eyes and have this bigger emunah, this broader emunah, this wider perspective, this das, these hasagas. I want to end with a poem. It's a little bit of an unusual poem. I saw this poem. For those who grew up in the States, you've probably heard of this man, but I found this poem and it resonated a little bit. And it had to do with the dream of Abraham. It had to do with Geula a little bit. It's a poem by Langston Hughes. Who are here to Langston Hughes? Heard of Langston Hughes? Okay. We have someone who heard of Langston Hughes. A few people heard of him. Well, you wouldn't just... Still alive. No, he's not still alive. I think he's buried in the South someplace. Hey, poem from Langston Hughes, a short poem. It's called Dreams. He wasn't writing about this, but, it reminded me of it. Hold fast to dreams, for if dreams die, like is a broken wing. Hold on. Hold fast to dreams, for if dreams die, like is a broken wing bird. Life is like is a broken wing bird that cannot fly. Hold fast to dreams, for when dreams go, life is a barren field frozen with snow. I'm going to read that again, right? Hold fast to dreams, for if dreams die, like is a broken winged bird that cannot fly. Hold fast to dreams, for when dreams go, life is a barren field frozen with snow. And I think the hope of Eretz Yisrael, the promise of Eretz Yisrael, the promise of Yerushalayim, even nowadays, has given hope. Right? If you don't have hope in your heart, you don't have that dream, that vision of Avraham Avinu, the vision of Am Yisrael throughout all the generations, right? For when dreams grow, life is like a barren field frozen with snow. You don't have the hope in your heart. You feel down, you feel depressed, you feel sad, you get overwhelmed following the political situation or whatever it is. It's fascinating. But the hope of Eretz Yisrael, the promise of Yerushalayim, the promise of Avraham Avinu, right, that everyone is still struggling with, right? Lech lecha ma'artzecha, everyone should come here and engage in the conversation of Rus and Boaz, the conversation of Am Yisrael and Knesset Yisrael, how we're longing for Geula, we're longing for Hashem. And with that, everyone, good Shabbos.
Thank you.